Hey, so you want to buy a home from a family member, or maybe you want to sell a home to a family member. So I got some tips when it comes to financing and how to structure that deal. So listen up. Here we go. Because it's a lot different than you just buying a house on the normal market, from a just random seller. You have some advantages here, all right? So what we're going to go over is just basically how I would structure it anytime we talk to a person that's buying a house from a family member, okay? Maybe an estate, right? Maybe a mom, dad, whoever wants to sell to their kids, grandma, grandparents, right? So what we do is, the first thing we talk about is a gift of equity, and what the borrower's goals are and what the seller's goals are. So an example would be, the seller would say, hey, how much do you want to make on this house, right? How much do you want to net on this house? Because we're not realtors. That's one thing, right? There's no realtors involved normally when you're buying a family member's house. That's one thing. So it's usually just seller, buyer, lender, and title company all working together. But what we do is I'll look at it and say, hey, how much do you want to net on this house? And they'll say, well, we want to get $250,000. All right, that's what we want to get total. And so from that number right there, we'll go and say, okay, well, it's $250 is how much you want to net. And then what we'll figure out is how much is the house worth, okay? A lot of times family members are selling their houses at a discount. You know, they're doing it to keep the home in the family, or they want to, you know, set the kids up for a financial head start, right? They want to give them a good deal. And so that $250 they want to net, and then we'll say, okay, well, the house, how much is the house worth? They'll say, well, the house is worth around $350. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll say, cool, you want to net $250, house is worth $350. Then I go back to the buyer and we say, we'll do the application, right? Credit, income, assets, look at all that. And then what I'll explain is, hey, we can set this up to where you finance all the $250 that they want to get back, plus your closing costs. And we can set it up to where there's basically no money out of your pocket. And it's called a gift of equity. All right, I told you all that to set you up for the gift of equity. So for conventional loans, FHA loans, the gift of equity is something that can be done. And what you do is you say, okay, well, we have sales price is $250, and that the house is worth $350, $100,000 there. They do a letter called a gift of equity letter, and they just put in $100,000 gift of equity. Appraisal gets done, house is worth it. Now that $100,000 that you gave them is realized in the loan. Because on a normal loan, it's not realized. On a normal loan, I'm buying a house for $250 from somebody. It's a great deal. I know it. A lender's going to have an appraisal done, and it comes in at $350. Guess what? The lender's still going to lend off the lowest of the two between the appraisal and the purchase price. So in the case I'm talking about, they're going to lend on $250. So that's all they care about. So then for the $250 price, you got to do 5%, 20% down, whatever that may be. When you do a gift of equity, we go off the appraised value, okay, what it's worth, because you're setting the purchase price that much higher because you're family. All right, so that $100,000, you can realize that as a borrower. And that borrower may say, well, that payment's too high at $250. We have $30,000 more we want to put down. Let's lower that loan amount, and then you work off of that. There are so many benefits to this buyer for that. Oh, as well, I forgot this part. You can also have the seller pay for the closing costs. Okay, again, you're just going to want to make sure seller wants a net $250. We're going to stack whatever, $10,000 in closing costs on there. That brings us, brings us to $260. Now we have that $260 to the $350 price. Hope that makes sense right there. Seller concessions. So in essence, if your borrower or your family member doesn't want to put any money into the loan, they can do that with the gift of equity. Seller pays all their closing costs, and they're giving them all the equity, which covers their down payment, and they get that house for $0 out of pocket, ideally. Right? Another reason why this gift of equity is so important is, to a lender, it may make the approval even easier. Okay, so like they may have only 3% to put down, but once you do the gift of equity, it looks like they have 20% down. So the more money you put down into that deal, the better it is for a lender. It's less risky, right? Lower loan to value, meaning they have more equity in the property. the less risky it is to a lender. So that's another reason why this gift of equity can be a game changer for them when they're trying to get a loan. So I just want to make sure I go over all that with you. It's something that I kind of enjoy doing with family, because it's usually a really cool loan. Everyone seems to be happy about it. And a lot of people don't know about that gift of equity and how to structure that loan. So if you are out there and you're trying to buy your family member's home, or you're trying to sell your home to a family member and you need help, we're licensed in a lot of different states. All right, just give me a call. We're happy to help. I'm gonna give you my office number. Okay, it's 239-437-4278. Reach out anytime we can help, and have a great day. Bye-bye.